We may know more tomorrow about who was caught up in surveillance after the November election and whether the identities of anyone with the Trump or Clinton campaigns were revealed or unmasked. All of this as the House Intelligence Committee chairman's decision to go public with new intelligence reports is further dividing that committee. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge joins us now with what we could learn tomorrow. Good evening, Catherine.
Well, Brett, the bipartisan request goes back to early March, and while the CIA and FBI have not responded, the NSA has already provided some information, with the rest expected by tomorrow, as a committee Democrat said the chairman apologized for briefing the White House before lawmakers. As members of the House Intelligence Committee met in a classified setting, the Republican chairman told reporters that he has an obligation to protect the source who flagged dozens of intelligence reports related to the Trump transition team that were generated under the Obama administration.
We have to keep our sources and methods here very, very quiet. I've told the American public several times that we want people to come to us to bring us information if they have it.
A congressional staffer said the intelligence reports were separate from the Russia probe and included phone calls swept up in foreign surveillance called incidental collection. Another hypothesis under consideration, according to the congressional staffer, is based on, quote, reverse targeting, an illegal practice where a government targets its citizens under the guise of surveilling a person overseas. After criticism, he briefed President Trump before updating the committee. The California congressman stood by his decision but offered some regret.
And it was a judgment call on my part, and that's at the end of the day, that's, sometimes you make the right decision, sometimes you make the wrong one, but you got to stick by the decisions you make.
The committee's ranking Democrat said the bipartisan probe is tarnished.
We can't have our chair acting as a compromise, as a surrogate for the administration. He has to either have the surrogate role or the chairman role, but he can't do both.
The Democrat said the timing is suspicious, pointing to the president's Fox interview about his wiretapping allegations. Another Democratic lawmaker leveled a serious allegation.
I'm of the opinion that this was orchestrated either from the White House or by possibly someone associated with the White House. If you look at the statement made by the president.
We will be submitting things before the committee very soon. That hasn't been submitted as of yet. But it's potentially a very serious situation.
The White House spokesman said the intelligence reports were new, and reporters should focus on content, not process.
Whether he briefed us first or he briefed the Democratic members, and that's up to him to decide, the substance of what he shared should be troubling to everybody. And that's what I think is the important thing.
The next public hearing is scheduled for Tuesday with former senior intelligence officials and deputy attorney general under President Obama. Fox News has told the list of witnesses is highly fluid and changes are anticipated. Brett.
Okay, Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.
ISIS is claiming responsibility for Wednesday's horrific attack that killed 4 people, including a Utah man in London. And today, Belgian officials arrest a man suspected of attempting a similar attack in Belgium. Correspondent Benjamin Hall is following the latest developments of both cases. Joins us now live from London. Good evening, Benjamin.
Good evening, Brett. Well, yes, just in the last half hour, we found out that a 4th person had died from yesterday's attack. It was a 75-year-old man, and they've just taken him off his life support machine. So 29 wounded, 6 remain critical.
The flags in Britain flew at half-staff today as the country remembered yesterday's brutal terror attack. Early this morning, members of Parliament met to offer their condolences. Theresa May saying the country would not bow to terrorism.
We are not afraid, and our resolve will never waver in the face of terrorism. And we meet here in the oldest of all parliaments, because we know that democracy and the values it entails will always prevail.
As police begin piecing together the events, ISIS, via its official news agency Amaq, claimed responsibility. Soon afterwards, police released the identity of the gunman. His name is Masoud Khalid, 52. He was born in Britain and had a spate of arrests for possession of weapons and assault. He had also been under investigation for extremism, though the government claims he had dropped off the radar long ago. Today, police arrested 7 suspects in major operations, mainly in Birmingham, where Khalid lived. It's the city from which more terrorists have come in the UK than any others. Police, though, continue to claim he operated alone. The victims came from 11 different countries, including Germany, China, South Korea, France, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and tragically, also an American. Kurt Cochran, 54, from Utah, ran a recording studio business. He was visiting London with his wife to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary and visit her parents. They were hit on the bridge, and she remains in critical condition. Today, President Trump tweeted his condolences, saying, "A great American, Kurt Cochran, was killed in the London terror attack. My prayers and condolences are with his family and friends." And there have been similar outpourings of grief from around the world. Many people seeing this not only as an attack on the UK Parliament, but an attack on Western values in general. Bret?
Benjamin, in Belgium today, another incident involving a vehicle.
Yeah, that's right. A very similar attack, in fact, which luckily was foiled this time in Antwerp, Brussels. A man of Tunisian descent was trying to drive his car at high speed through a shopping street, forcing pedestrians to jump out the way. Now, the military luckily intercepted him, but that car was found to contain weapons in the back and a military uniform. So it does seem as if an attack there was also thwarted. And these vehicles being used as weapons seems to be one of the new favourites of ISIS, and it is becoming increasingly hard to know how to defend against them.
Yeah.
Bret?
Benjamin Hall's department is ordering American embassies and consulates around the world to formulate criteria for, quote, certain population sets that should get extra screening when applying for travel visas. That's the word from the Associated Press that obtained a copy of a March 17th cable. The cable does not elaborate on what it means by population sets. The State Department declined to comment on AP's report, but said it's working to put in place the enhanced vetting President Trump has instructed officials to establish. The Pentagon is keeping a close eye on North Korea. As U.S. officials tell Fox News, North Korea is in the final stages of preparing for another nuclear test. Senior defense officials believe a test could come within the next few days. In response, the U.S. has moved a surveillance aircraft to patrol the Korean peninsula. The murder of a former Russian lawmaker is being called an act of terrorism by Ukraine's president. Denis Vorkunov was shot dead today by a gunman outside a hotel in Kiev. The former Russian lawmaker moved to Ukraine last fall and is said to have testified about Russian aggression. President Petro Poroshenko said Vorkunov's killing has the hallmarks of Russian special services. The Kremlin rejects that accusation. As he confronts a volatile and changing world, President Trump has sought quietly, sometimes directly, other times through aides, to shore up relations with key allies. One of them is Saudi Arabia. And today, in a rare and exclusive interview with our chief Washington correspondent James Rosen, the Saudi foreign minister takes stock of the new president and his predecessor.
Closing out his second year as Saudi Arabia's top diplomat, His Excellency Adel Al-Jubeir, formerly the ambassador to the United States from 2007 to 2015, told Fox News in an exclusive interview at the Saudi embassy that the U.S.-Saudi relationship has reached one of its historic high points just since January 20. What do you make of Donald Trump?
I believe that he's an exceptional human being. I believe that he has vision. I believe that he understands the importance of having America play a big role in the world. We support that.
We have communicated in no uncertain terms with every player in the region that that's a red line for us.
When President Obama declined to enforce the red line he had drawn against Syria's use of chemical weapons, America's Arab allies responded with disbelief and anger. While the foreign minister avoided direct criticism of Mr. Obama, Al-Jubeir left no doubt that Riyadh saw the Obama presidency bringing U.S.-Saudi relations to a new low and damaging American credibility and standing across and beyond the Middle East.
When there is a vacuum in the international system, evil forces flow into that vacuum, and that emboldens them to take more aggressive actions. And we saw the Iranians doubling down in Syria. We saw North Korea opening up a second nuclear reactor. We believe those may not have happened had the red line been respected.
The foreign minister said the nuclear deal the Obama administration and 5 other world powers negotiated with Tehran had, quote, a very negative effect in the region.
And we've seen, after the agreement was signed, more intensive nefarious activities by Iran. The Iranians have to understand that the nuclear agreement does not shield them from retaliation by the world for violating the ballistic missile accords or for violating human rights or for supporting terrorism.
The Saudis see President Trump and his aides taking a harder line than Mr. Obama and his aides did on Iran.
I believe they will be less forgiving of Iran's violations of the missile accord, its threats to maritime security in the Bab el-Mandab area and in the Straits of Hormuz. I believe they will be very strict in enforcing the nuclear agreement to the letter.
The royal family is enacting measured reforms to make government more transparent, to allow women to participate more freely in society, and to reduce the country's dependence on oil revenue. To that end, the kingdom is preparing what may prove the largest initial public offering in history for Aramco, the Saudi state oil firm.
Our objective is to try to complete the IPO sometime in 2018. There are serious discussions with the New York Stock Exchange about having the New York Stock Exchange be one of the exchanges for the Aramco IPO, and I believe the decision will ultimately be made on the financial merits.
And with respect to Yemen, where a Saudi-led military coalition has spent 2 years battling rebel forces backed by Iran, I asked the foreign minister what Riyadh's endgame is. He told me victory. And with the support of the Trump administration, which has approved a resumption of weapons sales to the kingdom, the minister said, we expect that we will be able to wrap this up soon. Brett?
James, thank you.